Good afternoon, everybody. Hope that you are having a great Thursday. I'm having a great Thursday because I've got an amazing guest. So I'm rebranded. It's Talk Talent with Michael Goldberg. And so that'll be the new name of the show going forward. And I'm so happy to be here. And, you know, I'm honored to have that first guest in my newly rebranded LinkedIn Live broadcast. She's amazing. I only met her 2 weeks ago. It was a New Year's Eve night. And I get this text from my friend Anna Morgan that says, "You gotta pop on." And I said, okay. I was with my family, but I popped on, and there are a couple of people I don't know. And one of them's this amazing woman named Raquel Borras, who is frankly one of my new favorite people out there in the world. Why? She's got spunk, she's funny, and she actually cares about people. And not only does she care about people, she helps them with their personal brand, but she also has this really cool YouTube channel called Raq the Boat, RAQTHEBOAT, the hashtag, follow it, where she has conversations with kids about their thoughts and feelings, whether it's what's going on in the world today. We're going to get her to tell us more about that in detail. But I want you to meet my special new favorite friend in the whole wide world. She's laughing. Here we go. There she is. So
I love because you're like one faithful night.
What?
The way you were describing New Year's Eve, on a faithful New Year's Eve.
Right. Well, I could have gone into my poetry again.
I would have.
Once was a girl named Raquel. No, I'm kidding.
Who was a crazy person, but we loved her.
We do. We had so much fun that night. So shout out to Brian Schulman, Gabriel Leal, Jason Lebowitz, Chantel. What's her? I can't remember.
Well, I think even Gabe pronounces incorrectly. Like he says it's Sumis or something, or maybe I'm the one that's saying it wrong. I don't know.
and it's so funny, you know. We were listening to his MFSB show last night, and he had Michael Bryant, and I felt bad because this guy just reminded me of this. His interactions reminded me of Gilbert Gottfried, and he kind of looked like Gilbert Gottfried, the way he was talking. He had this scrunchy face. But he's an amazing human. And then you connected me to your peacock soul sister, Rachel Drunkenmiller.
Yeah, which is his daughter. Such a weird thing, right?
Right. And so, but it was the first time I had noticed Gabe didn't have, usually Gabe likes to talk a lot during his podcast. He barely said a word while Michael was going. It was great.
No, it was great. Yeah, because Michael had so much awesome energy. I actually called him after because I have his number. And I left him a message. It was like super long-winded, but I was like, oh my gosh, like you did amazing and everybody loved you and good job and all this stuff. And he didn't respond until today. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, he probably thought like I was just like going nuts on him. And so he responded today. He's like, thanks for your message. It was so sweet. I was like, I don't know if it was sweet, but
well, no, but it's all good. So let's kind of start by let's tell people your story. I think they're going to be really intrigued. Why don't you kind of give us the Rocky show?
The Rocky show.
Rocky story, not Rocky like jab
Rocky
punch.
Balboa, like Eye of the Tiger.
Your Adrian.
My story, I don't know where you would want me to begin, because depending on where I start, this could go on forever. I mean, shoot, I could start last week and it could still go on forever.
No. You share some pretty interesting stuff on your about section. So let's kind of briefly talk about the stuff you went through as a child, and then kind of to where you went to school, where you grew up, and then kind of go from there.
Okay, so I'm from San Diego. I reside in Northern Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C. I've been here for, I want to say, almost 22 years. But yeah, I'm a SoCal girl, Cali girl at heart. I want to go back. My family's still there. So I moved out here because of my ex-husband 22 years ago. I'm now 10 years in of a divorce. I have an almost 20-year-old and 16-year-old. So the mother of 2 teenagers. And I've just kind of, I was a stay-at-home mom for many years, and I went out on I got divorced at 35. So I kind of like started my whole journey as far as like career-wise at age 35. So I was a little bit later in the game. So I kind of, done random jobs here and there, project manager at a guy who like his office was out of his home. I was a hostess. I was a receptionist, yoga instructor, cycle instructor, you name it. And it kind of took me down the path of ending up in the mortgage industry. And then I was in the mortgage industry. And from there, I started getting on social media, putting myself out there. And then I ended up having a position at one of the mortgage companies as a brand manager. So my job was to get their brand out there. So it just propelled me even more so like to go forward with social media and putting myself out there. And I ended up kind of like with a brand myself, not doing it intentionally, just kind of happened. And I just created I just created a brand and by itself, just naturally, which was really cool because now everybody's like purposely trying to create a brand and mine just happened. And so I started my own company in January because I had enough people that were reaching out to me and enough people in the industry that were like, hey, we see what you're doing. We see that you're out there and we want to be out there too. And you're doing it in a way where we feel like it's just you, like you're being yourself. And I want to be myself too. And so, I started the company True to You Branding in January. The pandemic hit, took a little bit of a pivot in the sense that I was trying to be sensitive to what was going on in the, in the world. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't really sell my services or sell myself as a business. I was just more focused on having people feel good about themselves and not, just be so upset and depressed about what was happening. So I kind of was doing, positive posts that were making people laugh, having them smile, just kind of be more intentional about what I was putting out there because, there's human beings on the other end. And I think a lot of us tend to forget that when we're on social media. We forget that we're all human and we're not talking to a computer screen or a phone screen. There's actually human beings that have emotions and feelings. So my focus was on that. And it kind of took this like, I don't know, it went into a direction that I never imagined. I started having all these people reach out to me asking for me to be on podcasts, for me to be on lives, to talk about what I was talking about, like mental health, being positive, just being, I guess, real, if you will. And it's just been a crazy journey. And now that I've really kind of taken 2020 as a year of like clarity and really listening to myself and looking inside and listening to that inner voice and really trusting myself, I've realized that I really want to make an impact. I always have, but like I definitely want to make an impact. And so that's my word for 2021. And that's when the whole Raq the Boat YouTube channel just kind of came to me, where I had, all these people, oh, you should have LinkedIn Live. You should have a podcast. You should be doing something because you're really good at having conversations with people. But I was like, you know what? I love kids. I've always wanted to do something with kids. So why not essentially just talk to kids? Screw the adults.
Well, essentially we are big kids.
Yes. I feel like I'm such a big kid myself. And I'm like honoring my inner child by doing this.
So what are some of the topics that you discuss? I mean, don't go into extreme, but just like overview, what are some of the conversations that you're having from with these kids? What are they saying? And what are some of the topics of conversation?
So I come at it with like no expectation. Some of these kids, I don't even know their names until like I get on. Because their parents are like, hey, will you talk to my child? And then they'll kind of forget to tell me their names sometimes. So I'll hit record. But I literally just like get on the screen with them. I might notice something in the background in their room, wherever they're at. Like, oh, hey, I see that you have a picture of this, or I really like that. or hey, like, where are you? Where are you? Because I don't even know where they're at. So I'm like, the latest one, she was in New York. I thought she was in Texas. So it's like literally just starting to talk, and then the conversation just kind of flows naturally, and it goes to places like Star Wars, Harry Potter, Pokemon cards. I mean, I've had one kid, bring out his Pokemon cards, and what's funny about it is that my son used to collect Pokemon cards. So because of him, I went back to my exes and I was like, dude, do we still have Nicholas's Pokemon cards? And they were in a binder. Turns out they were worth something. But like those are the type of conversations I'm having with these kids where it's just what interests them and what they're experiencing in the moment. Some of them are still in their bubble in the sense that like they're still focused on their social circle, on school. They're not like us adults where we kind of get jaded and cynical at some point in our lives.
I don't know what you're talking
We're
about.
not there yet, which is great. So the way that they speak to you is just really kind of like no agenda, super innocent. And that's what I love. Then that's what I wanted. I didn't want to have a podcast with adults because let's be honest, like I'm sitting here promoting what I'm doing, right? I'm talking about myself. There's an agenda.
Right.
And I didn't want that.
What's the one thing that one of the children said that just like blew your mind?
Well, there's a 12-year-old Natasha who I've already had a couple conversations with, because that's what's really cool too, is that these kids, I want them to feel like they have a friend in me, in the sense that if they want to keep coming back and talking to me like that, I want to be there for them. I don't want it to be like one and done. So Natasha, one of the conversations, we were talking about the virus, and out of the blue, she goes, so when did a virus become political? She's like, I don't understand. I'm like, honey, I don't understand either. But the fact that she had that insight and you just so smart, I was like, wow, okay, maybe we underestimate our kids, a lot of us. Like we talk down to them. We think that like they don't get it or they're not paying attention. Oh, they're paying attention and they get it and they're smart.
Yeah. And I think sometimes that as parents, we want to shelter them from the real world. And
Yeah.
I don't think you can do that anymore because because parents are glued to the TV. They're glued to the news. Those kids are probably know more information about what happened last Wednesday than we do.
Yeah.
Because there are all these, the channels and these discussions. So do you think that we almost do too much sheltering of our children, or do we need to be more relaxed about that and be open and honest with them?
Oh, I think we definitely shelter them too much, in the sense that, I mean, look at how it's different, how it's changed over generations of time, right? Like you talk about our grandparents and their parents, like pretty much ignored them, in the sense that like the dads were out working, doing their thing. And like, they really didn't spend much time with their kids. A lot of parents would miss their kids' games. And I mean, it's great that there's definitely more interaction. I get that. But I think we're maybe getting a little too enmeshed in our kids' lives, and because we want to protect them. And I think it's showing, we're seeing that it's actually kind of detrimental to them, because they're becoming, I guess, too reliant on us. I mean, I know my 16-year-old, like I'm like, girlfriend, you're 16. Like, you should be able to pick up the phone and call this person. Or if we're out like ordering something, like, you need to order your own food. Like, I don't need to order it for you. So there are some things in that respect where I think, okay, it's a little too much, like back off, like they have to learn somehow. Cause that's the thing too, is like, if they're not learning failure or they're not learning struggle, then when they do struggle or failure, then they end up having more issues like what's happening now. I think depression and suicide is on the rise because they don't have like those coping skills, or they don't really understand that life isn't easy. Life is hard. And there's going to be situations where they can't control, and that's okay, because that's part of life. But I think what's happening is too many parents are coddling our kids. So then when that happens, they don't know what to do. And so they just it's like they go down this slippery slope. And a lot of them are just taking their lives because they don't have any alternative, or they don't think they have any alternative.
Absolutely. So sorry, my dogs are kind of being but the pleasures. So So basically, let's shift gears into the personal branding and coaching
Yes.
you do, because the name of this broadcast is Talk Talent.
Yes.
What are some of the things that people are coming to you with from that personal branding and personal coaching? Is it in prep for a job search? Is it to improve their LinkedIn presence? Like, what are some of the things that people come to you for?
It's mainly to improve their presence and their visibility, but they know that it needs to be done through them. And we're all a brand essentially. And the brand is just, it's you. Like, I believe your brand is, it's who you are. It's not like you're coming up with an idea of like what you should be. It's like, no, who are you? What's the why behind what you're doing? And let's get it out there in a way that hopefully does help you build relationships, which in turn, hopefully at some point, like will help you with leads and gain clients. But I think that when people come at it as like, oh, I need to find business right away. And if I start posting or start doing something and I have to be getting leads. And if I'm not, then this sucks and this isn't working for me. And that's not the case.
Yeah, they expect immediate results.
Yeah. Right? And it's a process. Just like, I was on a podcast earlier today where I equate it with like losing weight. So many of us know what to do in order to lose weight. We know we have to have a healthy diet. We need to exercise and move more, but we still like fall into the trap of those fad diets and those hacks, right? And so it's the same thing, I believe, with social media and our brand. We know that it should take time, consistency, all of those things, but yet we're still like, give me like some secret sauce. Give me something that's going to get me from A to Z, in 5 days as opposed to 5 months or even 5 years. And it just doesn't work that way.
No.
Unfortunately. Sorry to burst people's bubbles.
I mean, you're spot on. So what, like, when people come to me, usually it's the question of, can you help me find a job?
Right.
And I go, well, no, but I can help you strategize as you prepare to find a job.
Right.
So what do people come to you with that you go, no, that's not how it works?
I think some people come to me thinking that I'm going to like manage their social media and I'm going to put their content out, that I'm going to do all that. Like, there's people that do that. I don't do that. Mine is more, like you said, strategizing. It's getting to understand the person. So once again, it all goes back to their why. So it's like, well, why are you doing this? And let's build on that, because that's where all the content is. That's where you start growing from. And then obviously there's strategies, like I said, where if you're on LinkedIn, there's certain things that there's etiquette, Facebook, Instagram, same thing. But I'm more about doing the creative part of it, because yes, you need to be you, but unfortunately not enough people understand who they really are and how they want to come across. So I have to kind of pull that out of them. And I do it in a way where it has them thinking outside of the box. Because I think that's another thing too, is a lot of people think that they can only put themselves out there in a certain way. And I'm like, no, there's many ways that you could do it creatively that have you stand out. You're still being you, but you're standing out. So yeah, I'm always kind of having them think about things that they wouldn't otherwise. Like, that's what I'm good at. I'm good at the creative piece of it. Like the analytical and the logistics and like the digital marketing and people that do the back end stuff. Like, I suck at that. Like, do not come to me for that, because I'll be like, yeah, sorry. Like, I'm just as like clueless as you are when it comes to like, Facebook ads or how to target and all of that. No.
Absolutely. So I'm going to put here in the chat, but then also in the banner, if you want to, we'd love to hear what your personal brand is. So while that's not a link and you'd have to copy that down, we'd love to have you join us on the show. You'll come backstage, we'll let you on, give you 30 seconds, and If you have a question for Raquel or want to just tell us about your personal brand and how you got there, we'd love to hear that. So one of the things that in the market for talent, there's a lot of people that are looking, right? Mm-hmm. So whether you're looking for sales leads or you're trying to promote your personal brand, I think that in the market today, or even people that are working, I think they're still having, would you agree they're still having issues trying to identify what their brand is internally as an employee or a job seeker?
Absolutely. And especially if they're still an employee of a company, but they're looking for, or seeking for another job, that's like a touchy thing too, right? Because a lot of people that work for companies feel limited as to what they can say or do because they don't want their company thinking like, oh, they're suddenly putting themselves out there more. They must be looking for a job or looking to move. So then they get kind of scared. But I think, fortunately, more and more companies are understanding how important it is for their employees to have a brand because their employees are going to be their marketing. Like that's guerrilla marketing. If you have your own employees like loving their company so much that they're out there promoting it. But for those folks that are kind of confused as to what to do, I mean, just even if you just talk about like what you're interested in, or if you just get on someone else's post and engage and start commenting and just getting in front of the people that you want to eventually work with or work for, that's something that you can do too. If you follow people at a particular company, if you just start commenting on their post, if you just be more visible and get out in front of them, that'll help. I mean, it's a whole process. So it is really hard to kind of like, oh, this is exactly what you should do. But a lot of it is that soul searching, figuring out like who you are. I think not enough of us sit and really take the time to listen to our inner voice and really listen to like what it is that we want or who we are. I think we get so caught up in wanting to hear what everybody else thinks we should do, or everybody else's opinions, or we compare ourselves to what everybody else is doing and we think that's what we should be doing. When in actuality, I feel like a lot of the answers are already there, like right inside you, if you just took the time to listen.
And look, we've all, as entrepreneurs, we've both done this. So, trying to figure out what I'm going to offer, and each person gives you their own opinion. Mm-hmm. And while I appreciate listening to that, it still boils down to, that's great what somebody else thinks you should go and target. But you as a human, only you know what you really, really want.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you can take the DISC assessment, you can take the UMAP assessment, you can take all the other different assessments that are out there. In the end, you still are the ultimate decision maker of your personal brand and your own destiny, right?
Yeah, and your brand should just be an extension of who you are. So,
but that's easier. But it's easier said than done.
Right? I know it definitely is easier said than done. But I think just explaining that it is an extension, I think it would get people to understand a little bit better that it's okay to put yourself out there in a way that is a little bit more transparent or a little bit more vulnerable, because we get so focused on business, and I have to seem professional and I have to be businesslike, but behind the business and behind that person is a human. Once again, it's the human aspect of it. So it's like that's why relationship building is so important, because at the end of the day, that's who you're connecting with, is a human. And so I think that's where there's like a somewhat of a disconnect, like just earlier when I was talking on the podcast, it was within the mortgage industry. And I was saying how a lot of loan officers think that if they're not putting themselves out there as a loan officer, then they're not going to get business, or no one's going to know what they do as a profession. I'm like, no, that's not, believe me, they know what you do, but they don't want to hear what you do. We really don't. Like all day long, Like that's not, I want to know who you are as a person. And so I think that's one of the biggest like misconceptions right now is everyone thinks they have to put themselves out there as who they are career wise.
Or put themselves out there as something that they're not.
Yeah.
I
And
think
that's kind of where
there's a lot of fakes out there.
Yeah, well, I started in the sense like with LinkedIn where I thought, okay, I'm just going into the corporate world. I want it to be taken seriously. I want to be professional. I want all these things. So then I was kind of putting myself out there in that way, which doesn't mean I'm not professional, but that's not really who I am. So as soon as I started just being myself a little bit more, I noticed that that's when more people gravitated towards me. And that's when I was connecting with people. And I thought, okay, maybe that's the key. It's just me being me. And the more I did that, the better it was for me. And that's where I was like, oh, it like all kind of clicked. Where it's like, wait, no, nobody wants me to be somebody I'm not.
Right.
Like they just want to see me. And people need to understand that. Because yes, there are too many people out there that put up a front.
Well, especially now, especially during COVID, right?
Yeah. And well, yes and no, in the sense that a lot of people that were, posting in front of their, beautiful cars and their beautiful vacations and their homes and this and that, like in their clothes, they couldn't do that for a while because nobody was outside. Everybody was indoors. So if anything, I think it helped in a way where a lot of those people, they couldn't hide. Like if you posted at a fancy resort, we knew that you weren't there because that resort was closed down. Like everyone's mandatory at home. So don't be pretending that, all this greatness is happening right now because it's not. And that, I think that's like, it forced people to be like, shit. Like, I got to show myself in my PJs because I'm really in my PJs right now, or no makeup, or in my messy living room. I think it gave permission for people to
relax.
Kind of relax and show behind the scenes a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping it remains that way at some point, that it's like that part of it, the vulnerability, the transparency remains, because that's the only way that we're going to be able like to move forward. It's just like, stop pretending and stop, like, come on. We are all struggling. Like, believe me, I might come across as someone that like everything's great and fantastic. I mean, I am very grateful. And I'm one of those people that do wake up every morning feeling blessed and look at the good things that are happening to me. But there's plenty of shit, I mean, I live by myself. I don't have any pets. I don't even have a freaking plant. Like my daughter comes every now and then, but essentially I'm by myself. I met you because I was on live on New Year's Eve because I was here by myself. So for me, I felt like I needed to be connected with someone. So that's why I was on the live stream for 5 hours, because otherwise it would have just been me here, like drinking my tequila, like, woe is me. So I am more mindful about it. Right. So like, even, I've got some medical things going on, and I could totally take it as like, woe is me once again. But I was like, no, it's okay. Like, I'm still predominantly healthy. Yes, there might be I might have to get surgery or anything like that, but okay. Or, my dad and my brother aren't talking. Like, I've got, a total rift in my family right now that's really heartbreaking. We
always have stuff going on.
We all have stuff going on, and it's like, so somebody, I'm very lucky that no one attacks me on my social media. No one's really negative, because I think I put myself out there in a way like where people can't, because I really am so open. But, if someone did and said, oh, your life's so great and you have it good, it's like, okay, really? Well, let me share a few things with you, and maybe you can think otherwise. Or, yeah, like I'm just over that. I'm over people trying to like pretend.
Talk about another superstar.
Is it pronounced Tara or Tara? Because I know
it's Tara. It's Tara.
Okay, hi Tara.
We're not on Gone with the Wind.
We'll have to connect.
You should connect with her. She's not the HR lady. She does a podcast. She just wrote a book.
Oh wow.
It was called I don't like to cuss on the platform, but I'll just say,
I
F the stack or something like that. I forgot what it was, but it was amazing, and I need to buy the book. And but she's, you totally get it. And her story is extremely interesting.
Yeah.
So, Tara, you need to be on my show.
Yeah, get her on, and then I'll get to hop on and.
Yeah, why don't you join start typing in that URL. You can come on. You can say hi.
Yeah.
The other thing from going back to work perspective, I don't know if you did this. I know it's been a while, but in the corporate environment, when you did do some corporate work before you got married and had kids. I wasn't
in the that's the thing, is I got married young and had a kid at 25. So I never was really in the corporate world before I got married. So that's why I was saying, like, I was like late to the party.
Well, so in organizations, they do these things. Have you heard of DISC? And
yes, someone told me I should do it. I done the Myers-Briggs, and I'm an ENFJ, like that. I know.
Yeah,
no,
I'm an ENTJ. But let me just tell you something. What's interesting is you have the DISC. It says, I'm a high D, low A. I'm a high A, or high I. I'm a low S, but a high C, high D, whatever. And then there's this other thing, and if you're watching, remind me what it is, but it's based on color. So you're either blue, red, yellow, or green. And I may even still have the little card in here. Of course, I'm blue because I'm cool, and it's my favorite color. But even in the workplace, people start labeling you as, well, you're a blue, you don't get it. And I think, from a personal branding perspective, you're a human being. You're not a color. You're not, an adjective. You're a human with feelings and emotion. And that's the way you need to brand yourself.
Yes. And not only that, you're multifaceted. I mean, I did a post about this yesterday where I have a lot of different interests. I'm kind of all over the place. Like I've been told I'm a walking oxymoron because I'm constantly contradicting myself in the sense of like my likes and interests, but it's because I've always been that way. And before, I always try to kind of label myself or put myself in a box. And now I'm like, screw that. So that's what I did yesterday. I was like, hey, by the way, you might not know this about me, but I love classical music, like love arias, like Bach, all that stuff, right? Because I wanted to share how important it is to showcase that, yeah, we all have so many different elements and facets to us. And that's what makes us so amazing and unique. And we should embrace that and celebrate it, as opposed to like, no, Raquel, no, you're this and that. Like, you can't
stray from that. AC/DC, not Bach or Vivaldi or.
Right. Like, I mean, if you saw my iTunes, like I do shuffle, like 1 minute it'll be Michael Jackson, like Human Nature or PYT. The next it'll be like, 80s. And then the next it'll be classical music, and then even opera, and then country, smooth jazz. I even like smooth jazz. I mean, it is all over the place.
So we're going to play a game.
Okay.
I was ready for this. I was hoping you were going to bring this up, that you like classical music. So on my phone, I have some music, classical music that.
Oh my God. Are you going to quiz me? Because
I am. That's okay. It'll be
my God.
This
is where people are going to be like, really, you like classical music? Because you could not guess that right. I'm like.
Right. And so, but if you know the tune, if you know who the composer is, put it in the comments, and here we go. All right. You ready? I'll start with an easy one.
Here's my credibility.
Yeah, well, nobody's going to be. You're not teaching classical music, so I think.
I know, but still, like.
Oh, come on, have some fun.
Oh, I will. It's all good. It's all good.
All right. And for every one you get wrong, you have to pull out your hair. I'm just kidding.
Oh.
All right. So, all right, ready? So this is a pretty famous one. So
great. Watch me get it wrong.
Can you hear that?
It's Gershwin, right? Rhapsody in Blue?
There you go.
Okay.
Look at my girl. She's rolling. All right, so we start. Oh, stop it. I don't want to play you again. Okay, so here's another one. Ready?
Okay.
Come on. Take
See,
a
that's
guess.
not like my style of classical music. So
It's Brahms.
yeah, see, I don't listen. Like, I'm not a big on like the like Wagner, Brahms.
Uh,
Strauss.
how about, let's see, come on. No, you're taking too long. How about this one? Do you know this one?
It's like from a movie soundtrack.
Yes.
Well, I mean, one of the big guys is John Williams or Hans Zimmer. So one of those two, if it's a movie.
It's actually Copeland.
Oh, it's Copeland.
And it's called, where is it? Oh, Fanfare for the Common Man.
Okay, see, I'm a huge fan of Bach, Mozart. So like Brandenburg concertos are my favorite. I love Vivaldi's Four Seasons. I mean, Beethoven, you know, I can give or take depending on what it is. But
And
Handel,
what do you say your favorites are? Sonatas or what? What did you say?
Well, I love violin concertos, clarinet concertos. I'm more of the Baroque period, so I love a good harpsichord. Handel, that's why I love Handel's water music, and that's kind of like more of my vibe.
I was going to play Handel's Messiah, so you would have gotten that.
Yeah.
So all right, one more. Let's see if you get it.
Okay.
Let me get there. Come on.
Well, since it's piano, I'll go with Chopin.
Close. It was Bach.
It was Bach. Okay.
It was Bach. So I think it's look. Thought we'd have a little fun.
No, I love it. I mean, one of my favorite classes at UCLA was the symphony, and so we learned about all the different instruments and just the different elements in a symphony and how there's a sequence. And I didn't realize like there really is a lot that goes into it. There's a whole philosophy behind why it starts out a certain way, and so it was fascinating.
No, it is, and it's great. It's soothing. It used to. I used to fall asleep to it. I'd have it on the radio. We have a public access channel here.
Yeah.
That not public access. That sounds like Wayne's World. A public radio station. WR. That's your classical 101, and it's pretty good. They play the good ones, but you can't get enough of your iTunes, right? Where you have it at the.
I love iTunes because now that they have it all broken down with playlists in different genres, like I can't get enough of it. Like every day, I'm like, what am I in the mood for now? And I'll do like indie rock one day, and then yesterday I did like dance pop, and I mean they have so many different options. It's too good. It's too good.
It is. So, as I like to say at the end of the show, time flies when you're having fun. But I know I think you have I have a meeting coming up here shortly, and I think you.
Yeah, I'm on a podcast, another one.
You are like super freak.
Today just happens to be one of those days where it's jam packed, but once again, like super grateful that I'm even able to do this, right? To have the conversations with people and connect with people like yourself. And I feel like I'm just, I'm just making these awesome friendships.
But that's the other part of personal branding too, right?
It's relationship building, it for sure. Like that's huge. Our relationships are key. I mean, and you got to start somewhere. Right? Like you're not going to a relationship doesn't come out of nowhere out of thin air. It's like dating where you're getting to know the person, you're courting them, you're finding out what they like, what they don't like. And there are some people that you just have, isn't it kind of cool when you meet someone and you just have this like incredible, strong connection where you're like, whoa, I already feel like, I mean, that happened with me and Michael Ray. Michael is like his family. Like we talk FaceTime almost every day. Like he definitely has been someone that as soon as we met, like it was instantaneous of like just feeling like that person, like this is someone that I'm going to like ride or die.
Right.
You know, and like even his girlfriend I'm friends with, all his kids, like that's really cool is that his entire family has embraced me. And I was going to stay with them because I was going to do an Operation Saving Santa with him because of the restaurant industry, because so many people, you know, lost their jobs, and he was doing these like acts of kindness and donating money to these, most of them were single moms. So it was giving them money so they had money to buy gifts for their kids. But I was going to go down there and help them with that. But obviously with COVID, I had to cancel. But yeah, like I was going to stay in their home with them and get to meet Maddie. And that all started from just me reaching out to him on LinkedIn and being like, hey, I want to get to know you better. I see what you're doing. Like, I can you just explain it to me? Yeah. And now I feel like I have a brother.
There you go.
You know,
that's kind of how I'll be honest. I'll put myself, that's how I feel about you. Kind of like my soul sister, right? And
yeah, like we've already had phone calls. We're already like, you know,
we've broken bread together. When I say bread, we've had liquid carbohydrates together.
Yes.
And that's and to me, that's what 2021 and really 2020 was about, and 2021 is.
I know what year are we in already?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you know, what 14 days in, it feels like it's been a year. So, well, and you're in the thick of it, right?
Yes, it's in my backyard. I try to like not pay attention, but I do have friends that are Capitol Police. I do have a friend that's the PIO for the Metro Police Department. So there's definitely like people in the thick of it. But yeah, it's not that I try to be ignorant or naive. I just know for my mental well-being, I'm just better off kind of keeping myself away from that and just focusing on things that I can control, which are my kids, what I'm doing here, my relationships, how I'm presenting myself to the world, how I'm showing up every day. Those are the things that I'm trying to focus on, not on the other stuff.
Absolutely. And don't forget, focus on yourself.
Yes. Well, and that's why I don't watch the news or pay attention, because it's not good for my mental health.
well, but I mean, but there are other things that you have to focus on as well.
Yes. Oh no, absolutely. Like I haven't had any alcohol since that New Year's Eve night. Drinking more water in the morning, water with lemon water, moving more. You know, I definitely like self-care is, I'm doing the best I can in this cold, because I don't like going outside in the cold.
Yep, and you're doing fantastic. Thank you again for being on the broadcast. You hang on for just a minute as I wrap this up. So thanks everybody for being a part of my new Talk Talent with Michael Goldberg broadcast. Eventually we'll make a podcast out of it, but in things to come. And you know, if you need to get in touch, you need help with personal branding, you're trying to figure out your life and you just need direction, you need to reach out to my friend Rocky here. So Raquel Borras, you can check out the conversations that she has with kids at Raq the Boat. You see the hashtag there by her name. So that's a YouTube channel. So definitely check that out. Definitely check out the Hiring Transform.
Wait, Corey, you know Corey?
Corey
Yeager? Do you know Corey Yeager? Because he's like, hey, you two. So I don't know do you know Corey?
Yeah, kind of. It's the first I've heard from him in a while.
I know Corey's been MIA, by the way. You know, Corey and
How
I
do you know Corey?
We are in the same inner circle call, which he hasn't been on in a while. Sorry to call you out there, Corey. But yeah, so we met, I want to say almost like 2 years ago through the inner circle.
What is this inner circle? What are you talking about?
I have a mentor who's an executive coach, does NLP work, and I know that Corey's worked with him. And so that's how we got connected, is this call. It's every Tuesday morning. And yeah, so we've known each other for almost like 2 years now. Corey, call me. Corey's good people.
He is good people. And if you need insurance, if you're a company person listening to this and you need an insurance, you got to call Corey.
He's your guy.
He is your guy.
Reach out to Corey. Look, he did a little like.
He is, or is that kind of like no duh?
Yeah, he
So,
should know better than to get on, because he knows that I'll call him out.
yeah, yeah, he'll call you, and maybe
Sorry,
if
not
you can
sorry.
call me and wish me a happy New Year.
Yeah.
But no, I'll call you later, buddy. So thanks again for popping on, Corey and Tara.
Yeah, I'll
And
have to connect with Tara too, because she seems like someone that I
she's
can
got an
definitely
amazing
align
story
with.
to tell. You got to talk to her.
Okay, perfect.
Well, look, I hope you have a great next podcast up, but never forget the introduction I gave you.
I know. I was like getting all like goosebumps and stuff.
You're right.
I was like,
So, well, everybody be safe, take care of yourself, and stay indoors. And but reach out to Rocky if you're looking for personal brand help. Reach out to me for recruiting strategy. If you're a startup, that's where my focus is going to be for this year going forward as I grow Hiring Transformed. Be sure to follow me on LinkedIn. And certainly hit the YouTube channel under #Hiring Transformed. So thanks for joining us today, and make it a good evening.
yay. Thanks.